6 years of eating one meal a day. 2020, right around when the pandemic started, is when I decided I was gonna train every single day, come what may, and I was gonna eat one meal a day. So it's been 6 years, little over 6 years, and I've never looked back. But there are a lot of mistakes people make when trying to follow in my footsteps or trying to do something similar. And I will dispel some myths here and give you some tools that you can use to make OMAD infinitely easier for you and also get the most bang for your buck. You see, for me, I was just talking to one of my clients here, and I told him much more than helping me get chiseled, get an aesthetic result, OMAD helped me enjoy life more. That's a bold statement, and we'll get to the why in a little bit, but fact of the matter is this, my brother, my sister watching. You don't need to read another book. You don't need another study. You don't need to watch another video or listen to another expert. That's a lack of knowledge is not why you're not moving forward. It's your lack of application. It's your lack of doing. You see, in 2020, when I started doing this, everybody left and right was telling me, that's not gonna work out. You're gonna lose muscle, you're gonna develop metabolic damage, and you're gonna develop an eating disorder. But I didn't care. My blessing is I never cared about what others thought of me or thought about me. I tried it, the results were immediate. The results were almost instantaneous. And I was like, I'm never deviating from this. Now, keep in mind, in 2020, I was single. I was working here at our foundation, but I didn't have to cater to anyone's routine. I didn't have to appease to anybody. It was just about getting the best results humanly possible. So that's what we did. That's what we did. One meal a day, working out every day, living a very high activity life. And it was beautiful. I'm not gonna lie, 2020, despite everything that was going on around me, was the best year of my life. The best year of my life. Now in 2025, closing in on the end of 2025, I'm still running the same routine, but my environment changed. I'm still here in Latin America, but I'm married. I got married. I have a baby girl on the way. So obviously my program, my routine had to change somewhat, a little bit. I needed to employ a little bit more leeway to my own program to not have to say no to food all the time when I was around my beautiful wife and my family or the people of our foundation here. So yes, I'm married, bro. Yes, I am married for 2.5 years. Been married, best decision I've ever made. Yeah, get married, find the right girl and get married. Life is better that way, in my experience. It has to be the right woman though. It took me 40 years to find the right one. So that's a different story for a different day. So what I want to emphasize here is that if you want to play with OMAD, there are a couple strategies that you have to employ. Or I should say there are a couple of rules that you have to respect if you want to see any beneficial results. If we're talking fat loss, muscle gain, performance, across the board. Because OMAD is a strategy that works across the board on all levels. It works with your physical goals, your aesthetic goals, your performance goals, works with your social life. You can make it work great with your social life. And it can work with your professional life. Specifically, this is why I started doing OMAD, because It, bro, when I'm fasting or when I'm keeping the strain on my digestive system to a minimum, my brain comes alive. So if I want to be my most energetic, uh, my most positive, my most driven, my most productive, my most creative, I gotta keep food intake to a minimum, at least periodically, not chronically, not talking about days and weeks, talking about during the active hours of the day. If I limit my food intake to a minimum or do a straight water fast, I'm way more productive. I'm way more functional. I get way more done. So this was for me the real reason why I started OMAD in 2020. It was another challenge, another level up for me in terms of discipline, in terms of adjusting my lifestyle, in terms of getting enough and adequate food in at that one meal a day. Those were all somewhat challenging initially, not anymore certainly, but I did it to be more productive. I did it to drive my business forward. I did it to um, have more energy for the people in my life, be on the go constantly. That's what I always wanted, to have that performance capacity, have that gas tank that never really runs out. I was never able to get there on a regular diet, eating, you know, two, three, four, 5 meals a day like I did in my 20s. Never. I would always fatigue earlier. I would always run out of energy earlier. Now, 6 years later, 6 years of doing OMAD, obviously I've burnt my fingers every now and then. So I'll give you some strategies to unlock your full potential and unlock your best physical results in terms of your performance inside the gym and outside the gym, in terms of your aesthetics, fat loss, muscle gain, because on this meal strategy, you can do it all. You can do it all. Gain muscle, burn fat. I've done it all on OMAD. Now, let me elaborate before we get to the specific tactics. When I speak of OMAD, it's not really a strict water fast every day. I'm not fasting on water and maybe coffee for 20, 22, 23 hours every single day and then just eating one plate of food at the end of the day. No. What I do is more in line with a warrior diet, meaning that I do still consume minimal amounts of food throughout my days. In my case, just fruit. I don't need protein. I certainly don't need fats. I just need a little bit of sugar in the form of fruit to keep me positive mentally. I don't need it even for my gym sessions. I just feel that when I have fruit as opposed to straight water fast, I'm in a better mood. Specifically, the latter half of my fast, I'm less irritable, less of a prick to be around. So that's why I choose to have 2 up to 3 pieces of fruit during that fasting period. And then I would break my fast late in the day, late afternoon, dinner time, sometimes even late at night. I will break my fast, eat like a fat pig, and hit the sheets. It's glorious, wonderful. In 20 years of fitness, I haven't found anything to work this way. And it's not even close. It's not even close. So first things first, not a strict water fast. I recommend people consume a little bit of fruit during that fasting period. Results will be the same. When we're talking fat loss, results will be the same. You're gonna recomposition your body beautifully if you follow the rules that I will outline in this video. But do not be anal about, oh, can I have a little bit of milk in my coffee while I'm doing OMAD? Can I have a piece of fruit? Can I have 100 calories during my fasting period? Or does that do away with all the benefits? Do I lose all the benefits? Not at all. What you want to do, wake up, have some water, hydrate, obviously, have some black coffee or unsweetened teas if you like. And then over the course of the day, have a couple strategically placed pieces of fruit, an apple, a, a banana, a pear, a handful of berries, whatever you like. I don't need a lot to make this work for myself. So I'm not loading up on fruit. I'm not having like a giant fruit bowl to get me through my day. I'm having maybe one or two, rarely up to 3 pieces of fruit during the day, because it helps me stay focused and helps me stay in a good mood. That's the biggest part. It helps cognition and it helps mood. And then later in the day, I will eat big. Like when I say one meal a day, it's not like a piece of chicken breast, some rice and vegetables. It's not your average meal. I will eat upwards of 2,500, 3,000, 3,500 calories within a very short time frame. We're talking an hour, 2 hours, up to 3, 4 hours some days. But sometimes I'm done within the hour consuming 3,000 calories, and I'm done and I'm hitting the sheets a little after that. I'm telling you, this works so well, it's not even funny. If you do the following: do not strict water fast unless you prefer that. There are some people who actually prefer that. Then go right ahead. You're strict water fast. But when you sit down to eat enough. Do not habitually undereat. This is the biggest problem I see with people who want to adopt a similar lifestyle. This is not a diet. This is a lifestyle. This will make everything work better. So eat enough. Allow yourself to eat to satiety. And number 2, almost equally as important, eat enough protein. If you habitually undereat your calories, you're in for a bad awakening. If you habitually undereat protein, you're gonna shrink away. You're gonna be a smaller, weaker, skinny fat version after 6 weeks of OMAD. So protein is very important. And when I say protein, don't think about protein shakes. Don't think about these perfectly put together meals of chicken breast and rice and broccoli. No, brother, it's not that serious. But you have to make sure that you get an adequate amount of protein in for your goals, for your lifestyle. The more physically active you are, the more you train, the harder you train, the more muscle protein you break down in training throughout your days, the more you're gonna have to replenish those stores. So for me personally, I need upwards of 120 grams of protein, and I'm just giving you that as a guideline. Sometimes I eat much less than that, and sometimes I eat a lot more than that. Easiest thing for me to do after a long day of work, a long day of training and being here at our foundation is to sit down at night and put away 150, 200 grams of protein in a single sitting. Easy. Glorious too. So I'll have my chicken, I'll have some beef, I'll have some tuna. Whatever I feel like having that day, I'll have that as my main protein source, and maybe finish with some low-fat, high-protein Greek yogurt or cottage cheese to get some additional protein in at the end of the day. So you follow these 2 rules. You do not habitually undereat, and you eat enough protein. So by that I mean you choose the right foods when you do sit down to eat, and you're gonna be golden. Listen closely. You never needed 3, 4, 5, 6 meals a day to reach your physique goals. I'm telling you, that high a meal frequency is just a hindrance. And not only that, not only will it make getting in shape more difficult in the long run, it's also much less enjoyable. You see, the way our reward system is set up, the way our brains are wired, if you will, is that after periods of deprivation, periods of restraint, you're gonna get much more of a reward. So after periods of not eating or limiting yourself to perhaps a couple pieces of fruit, that meal at the end of the day will be glorious. Will be a feast. even if it's something very simple, a home cooked meal that's not like fried in tons of butter and tons of sugar there. The simplest meals will taste heavenly to you after you've done the work with the discipline, with the self-restraint throughout your day. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's the opposite of um, instant gratification, the opposite of what we've gotten accustomed to, where you get to trigger massive dopamine responses frequently throughout your days by indulging in habits, destructive habits, vices you could call them, like eating sugary, high calorie junk throughout your days. Starting your day with a bowl of cereal, starting your day with some donuts and coffee. Terrible. Your brain will light up like a Christmas tree, but you will be playing catch up for the rest of your days. Your energy will be in the gutter. Your body will obviously feel like trash, and you will initiate that sugar roller coaster where you have to consume frequent meals throughout your days, otherwise, you crash and burn. You initiate this cycle of eating something, getting high, crashing, having to eat again, getting high, crashing, having to eat again, and you repeat the cycle. While you're doing that, not only are you stashing body fat like crazy, but you're also wearing out your dopamine system, your reward center in your brain. So when you then eat a meal, it's not going to be very enjoyable for you. You're just going through the motions. Oh, I got to eat something because my blood sugar is low. I got to eat something because I have no energy. Pathetic. That is a pathetic way to live. And I know because I've been there in my 20s. Now at 40, bro, I don't eat all day. I have way more energy. I'm in way better shape physically. I can do things that I was not able to do in my 20s, that I was not able to do 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago. And that's why I'm convinced a man's prime is past his 40s. It's 40 to 60, because that's when you have the knowledge. That's when you know how to make some money, how to train your body, unless you've been asleep for the last 20 years, how to train your body, how to eat to maximize this God-given potential of yours. So, bro, I hit 40 this year. I'm so stoked, so excited about the next 10 years, the next 20 years, the next 30 years. However many years God wants to give me, I'm here for it. And I know, I can already tell you that in these next 10 years, in these next 20 years, I will be eating one meal a day at the end of the day, with very few exceptions. Let's talk about these exceptions. Exceptions for me are only for social reasons. I don't enjoy having breakfast. I don't enjoy having lunch. It does nothing for me. Nothing for me. All it does is have me go through this refractory period, if you will, of 2 to 3 hours post meal where I don't quite feel myself. I don't have the high energy that I want. I don't have the mental clarity that I want, because too much of my blood supply is diverted to digesting and breaking down the meal I just had. So anytime I have breakfast, anytime I have lunch, other than a piece of fruit like I mentioned earlier, I'm zoned out for 2 to 3 up to 4 hours, depending on the size of the meal. So no, I don't enjoy frequent meals. I don't enjoy sitting down to a bunch of scrambled eggs and some bacon in the morning or whatever, some yogurt and granola. No, not at all. Even if it's healthy, clean stuff, I do not enjoy it. It does nothing for me. With that being said, today's Saturday, tomorrow's Sunday, the Lord's Day. I'm probably gonna have breakfast with my wife. We're gonna go to church early and then come back and have like a breakfast brunch thing at around noontime, you know? So yeah, I do that on occasion, specifically on weekends where I don't have to work my butt off and I don't have to function at my highest level for, 12, 14, 16 hours until I get to my meal at the end of the day. So that's the only time I deviate from this routine. And occasionally, if it's somebody's birthday, if it's a national holiday, if everybody here at our foundation, or I have some family visiting or some friends visiting and they want to go out for lunch, believe me, I'm not that much of a dick that I will insist on following my program that day. I'll take it easy. I'll have some lunch, enjoy the afternoon with my family, with friends, with my beautiful wife, and be done with it. But believe me, the following day, I'm right back on the protocol. I'm right back to eating one meal a day because it has made my life better. It has made my life more enjoyable. It has made me as an individual, as a man, more functional, more useful for my people, more useful for God, because now I do not fatigue anymore. I don't get tired anymore, not physically, not mentally. All right, I'll take that back. I do get tired when it's time to go to sleep. But during the day, I'm a machine. I'm a machine on empty. So I'll get to some of these comments in a little bit. Yeah, I just want to make sure that I give you guys the goods. I want to make sure that after you watch this video, you can start adopting this strategy right now. As I'm saying this, I was just talking to a client earlier. OMAD is not a life sentence. If it's something that you enjoy doing, if it's something that you feel helps you live your life better, like it helps me, then sure, use it. Maybe use it throughout the week, and then on weekends when you're with your family. Some birds going crazy up here. Hey, yo, shut up! Birds going crazy here in our patio. So, where was I? This is a strategy you can use throughout the week when you have to be your most productive, your sharpest, your most focused mentally. That's when you want to do OMAD. That's when you want to minimize food consumption during your day. But on the weekends or during holidays or social events, you can break this routine and you will not see any detrimental effects apart from that refractory period right after the meal. So you will not just gain a bunch of body fat because on the weekend you decided to have 3 meals. You will not, get crazy fat because on Labor Day weekend you decided to eat more frequent meals with your family. It's not that serious. Number one, it's not that serious. Number two, you will know and you will see and you will experience if you do this lifestyle the way that I promote it. You will see that you have a lot of leeway. You don't have to be perfect. You have a lot of room for error if you do it the way that I promote this lifestyle. So it's not that serious, number one. And number two, if you want to operate at your highest capacity, this is the route. Keep food intake to a minimum throughout your day. Throughout the periods where you have to be sharpest, you have to be most energetic, you have to be most positive. Keep your food intake to a minimum. In my humble opinion, fruit is the master food for high energy. It's the highest energy food you can eat during that period. I do not recommend straight water fasting unless somebody prefers doing that. Go right ahead. For me, for most people that I work with, those strategic fruit snacks work best. So we're talking 200, maybe 300, up to 400 calories maybe of straight fruit during the day. That's with all the workouts that you're gonna do, with all the activity during your day, cognitive and physical, obviously. We're talking about someone who's done this for 6 years and trained every day for 6 years, sometimes multiple times a day, and is playing soccer like a madman at 40 years of age on a regular basis. At least 3, 4, 5 times a week, I'm on the soccer pitch killing it. So we're talking about a very high activity lifestyle. We're talking about a lifestyle that promotes creativity, promotes creation, promotes doing, promotes building, promotes moving forward in life. This is not a lifestyle that will work for somebody who's only here on this planet to stuff his belly and relax and scratch his balls. This is not for people who live to eat. This is for people who eat to live and to function and to operate at a very high level. But here's the beautiful thing. I told you guys, I love to eat. I love to eat. I'm a fat kid at heart. I could easily gain 20 pounds in the next month if I chose to do so. Very, very easy for me to get fat. I never enjoyed food as much as I did when I adopted this lifestyle. I never enjoyed my meal. I never enjoyed socializing as much as I do right now. So I'm telling you, this is not separate from enjoying food and from enjoying your diet. Not at all. This will actually help you enjoy food more, help you enjoy time spent with your friends and your family more. For the reasons I mentioned earlier, dopamine. But let's recap. How do you avoid losing muscle, becoming a weak, skinny fat loser on OMAD? You eat enough when you do decide to sit down to your main meal, and you eat enough protein. Food choices. The majority of your calories should come from meat, chicken, eggs, lean dairy, some fish maybe, fruits and vegetables, and some starches. Whatever you want. If the protein is out of the way, whatever else you want. You can take in your carbohydrates with clean carb sources, fruits and vegetables, maybe some rice, maybe some potatoes. You can consume your carbohydrates, especially as you get closer to your ideal body composition. You can consume those carbohydrate sources from pizza, from a pastry here and there. So you're gonna have a lot of liberty to eat the foods that you love, to enjoy the meals that you actually like to eat, and not just have to follow this mind-numbing diet where I can only eat this, I can only eat that. Oh, I'm on carnivore now. Oh, I'm back to keto because I put on all the weight that I lost with keto again, because nobody can sustain this nonsense diet. So I'm back to keto, and this time maybe I can sustain it. You dummy. When will you learn? You cannot restrict, you cannot deprive your body of macronutrients long term. You cannot restrict, you cannot deprive your mind of the foods that you want to eat long term. It will not end well for you. So yeah, you'll see me eat pizza, you'll see me eat burgers, you'll see me eat Cocoa Pebbles and Captain Crunch, you'll see me eat chocolate chip cookies and triple chocolate brownies on a regular basis. Brother, on a regular basis. But my bread and butter, quite literally, the foods that I eat to get the majority of my calories in are chicken, beef, fish, eggs, lean dairy, fruits and vegetables, and some starches. I like my bread. I like some rice. I love beans. Rice and beans. I love those, bro. I could actually live on that stuff. If it had more protein, was actually conducive to a high performance lifestyle, I would just eat rice and beans. They're cheap as well, and you can get it anywhere here in Latin America. But that's pretty much where I get the majority of my calories from. And then the rest, some pastries. The rest, some dessert. The rest, whatever I feel like having. We have a pizzeria downstairs in our foundation here. I'll have a pizza multiple times a week. And I'm not just talking about a slice, bro. So the liberty that this diet gives you is unparalleled. The results that this diet gives you in terms of the physique, in terms of your performance, in terms of your lifestyle is unparalleled. In 20 years of fitness, 20 years of playing around with this diet, this setup, that macro split, nothing has ever worked remotely as well as this. And I gotta give credit to where credit is due. I gotta give my props to the main man himself, Ori Hofmeckler, the man who introduced me to this lifestyle in the early 2000s. That's when I first stumbled upon it. I wasn't yet smart enough, educated enough to just take this information and run with it. I still stayed in the information game like I told you not to. I still kept researching, kept reading more, kept listening to more experts, and all that did was take me away from this routine that was working so damn well for me, so marvelously for me. But I would listen to these experts and I would then start second guessing myself. You know, I was young. I was like 24, 25 at that time. Maybe I'm really losing muscle here doing this OMAD diet. Maybe I'm really losing performance potential because I'm only eating one meal a day. During those years, I would still eat, you know, my fruit and maybe even a little bit of protein throughout my days, but I would not eat proper meals during the day. So we're talking, this was me at 24, 25, my best 2 years in my 20s. But I wasn't smart enough to connect the dots and realize, hey, this is what works best for me. So stop looking for other solutions, other programs. Stop thinking that the grass is greener over there and just realize this works better than anything you've ever done. I wasn't smart enough in my 20s, so I deviated from the path. I deviated from my winning ways, and I paid the price. Now in hindsight, I'm grateful that I did, because that allowed me to understand how the human machine truly works. And that allowed me to understand what works and what doesn't work. What works for the physique, what works for high performance, what works in terms of the life that I want to live, in terms of, in terms of the man that I want to be. The man that I want to be. This allows me to be that man at the highest level. This brings out the best in me. Bottom line, brings out the best in me. And it did so in my 20s when I first stumbled upon the warrior diet. But I wasn't brave enough, certainly not smart enough in those years, to just run with it, to just use this strategy and say, you know what, I'm gonna do this until I find something better. So yeah, but there was nothing better. There was nothing better. Now, 15 years later, I can tell you there was nothing better. I returned back to this lifestyle 6 years ago, and I can't see a future version of myself where I'm not gonna do this anymore. But also not pedantic about it. I'm not a fool. If something comes along in the future, if I can manipulate and adjust this lifestyle somewhat in the future for even better results, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Hint, it's probably not gonna happen. Hybrid athletics. So there's a bunch of messages here. Let me just try and get to some of them. All right, so brother Matties is saying, how do you plan on shifting at all when your baby is here? I have a 4-month-old daughter, and it's tough fasting on a shitty night's sleep. Well, obviously I have no experience on that because I sleep like a corpse every day. But as my as my baby girl is gonna enter our lives, obviously that's gonna screw up with my sleep, and it's gonna make fasting more difficult, because there's a lot of research showing that if you have disrupted sleep, or if you have subpar sleep, you're much more likely to overeat. So people with shitty sleep habits are fat because they're always over consuming calories. It's much more difficult for you to eat properly if your sleep's not on point. Sleep is king. Sleep is number one. So that's that. That's something you have to deal with. That's something you will have to learn to adjust to. For me personally, nothing will change. Nothing will change. I don't have to suck on a bottle of milk, or, well, my baby will not drink formula. Obviously, she's going to be breastfed, but I'm not going to be sucking on my wife's tits at the same time as my baby so we can have this bonding moment together. I will be fasting all day, and then at night with my wife I will sit down and have a meal. So even with my baby being born, that's not going to change how I live this life. The sleep, I can't speak on that because obviously that's going to affect me somewhat, but I know how to manipulate my diet, especially my calorie intake at the end of the day and my protein intake, so I can sustain high performance even on crappy sleep and even on a monstrous workload, physical and cognitive. So yeah, not much changing there. Somebody says, I can't do it, brother. I'm always overeating. So I guess he's referring to fasting throughout the day and then eating at night. You can do it, brother. Everybody can. This is actually the easiest dieting strategy I've ever found. You heard me. This is the easiest dieting strategy I've ever found. If you respect the rules that I mentioned earlier, you eat enough calories at your main meal. It might take you 2-3 hours to load up on enough food. And I'm not talking about force feeding here. I'm talking about giving your body the time at night to recharge properly. It might take you a couple hours, but you have to eat enough. That's the number one downfall of people who want to do something similar and they just crash and burn a couple days, a couple weeks in because they're always under eating. Like I said, I habitually eat past the 2,500 calorie mark at night, so it's easy for me to do. And number two, food selection. You say you're always overeating. You will not be overeating if you prioritize the foods that I mentioned on this call earlier. You get your protein in, animal protein sources, fruits and vegetables, some starches. You're not going to be blowing past your calories because it's almost impossible to do with the right food selection. Which brings me to another point, brother. We can talk about this diet and that diet. We can talk about OMAD and 3 meals a day, 6 meals a day, 12 meals a day, rich piana style. At the end of the day, quite literally, at the end of the day, food selection has to be on point. You gotta eat the right amount of food for you, and it has to be the right food choices. And if the food selection is on point, your calories fall in line. If your food selection is on point, you're giving your body what it needs, primarily protein. Yes, fruits and vegetables, vitamins, minerals, all that, fiber, very important. But it's primarily protein, brother. You have to think protein dominant eating if you're going to dabble with prolonged fasting or just intermittent fasting. 1 meal a day, 2 meals a day. Food selection has to be on point. And if it's not, if you have a crap diet, then you can do OMAD and you're not going to see great results. You can do prolonged fasting that I speak of frequently on this channel. You're not going to see great results. You're just going to get skinny fat, lose muscle mass, get weaker, get slower, and hate this process. So I'm telling you, if you do it the way I do it, if your food selection is on point, you're not going to overshoot your calories. You're going to land right where you need to be because the body is getting adequate amounts of the most important nutrients, and then it's not going to coax you, it's not going to tempt you to eat more junk. I'm speaking from experience. I had a really spoiled palate where I enjoyed a lot of junk food. I enjoyed a lot of desserts and sweets. I don't anymore. Like I told you earlier, I still eat those foods, but I don't have to have them every day. Certainly not multiple times a day. And sometimes I can go days, weeks without desserts, and it doesn't affect me. It doesn't mess with my mind. So I'm telling you, if your food selection is on point, you're getting enough protein to sustain your output, to recover from your workouts, to fuel performance and growth, you're not going to overeat on this routine. So a comment here is, I'm working out in the morning, having black coffee at lunch, evening, and having dinner at night. Beautiful. Thank you for this comment. Why? Because it brings us straight to another myth that is very common. And that is, oh, but I have to eat protein after I work out. No, you don't. Oh, but I have to spike protein synthesis multiple times a day to grow muscle. No, you don't. What your body cares about, what your muscles care about, is how much protein is coming in at the end of a 24-hour period. How much, much more likely, how much protein is coming in at the end of a 7-day period. That's how your body operates. It doesn't think in terms of, oh, please feed me protein every 3-4 hours so I can spike muscle protein synthesis every 3-4 hours. That's not going to get you better results than just eating one massive bolus of protein at the end of the day. But yeah, what do I know? I've just done this for 6 years. Try it, brother. Try it. Our friend here has the same experience, because he says he's basically fasting all day and then eating, having dinner at night, you know. That's it, 1 meal a day. Now, I recommend a little bit of fruit for the brain, for the mind, for your mood, for your energy, cognitive drive, more than anything. The muscle doesn't need anything for that. That's a short fast, bro. When we're talking 20 hours, 22 hours, that's a baby fast. Literally, any baby can do that. So you don't have to take amino acids, take creatine, take all this stuff during your fasting window out of fear that you're gonna lose out on gains, or that you're gonna, waste away. No, eat enough at your mealtime and you're gonna grow. You're gonna get stronger than ever. You're gonna feel like $1,000,000 throughout your days if you do this. My word on that. So a question here is it because of the calorie restriction, or is fasting the key? I guess our brother is asking if the benefits that I speak of, especially cognitive and lifestyle benefits, are strictly related to calorie restriction or the fasting. My brother, it's the lifestyle. So it's the fasting, you could say. Calorie restriction also will make your mind sharper, will make you more motivated, will increase your drive to an extent. Not if you stay in that calorie restricted state for 3 weeks, for 2 months, for 3 months, AKA a regular cut, which I don't recommend people do. No, but if you play your cards right and you enter that deficit every single day you create that deficit for a certain period, during the day in this case, and then at night you break the routine, you break the deficit, you give your body what it wants, a massive meal, a massive bolus of energy, then you're able to maximize your performance, your output, your energy, and your clarity throughout your days, and you're gonna maximize recovery, relaxation, enjoyment of food and of your people at night or later in the day when you decide to break your fast. It's the best of both worlds, and it's a quality of life, my brother, you cannot experience on just a calorie restricted diet. Believe me, because I've done calorie restricted diets for over a decade, probably, on and off, bulk and cut, trash lifestyle, trash setup for performance and for just, just for living your life. What a life of misery to have to restrict how much you get to eat every single day. I need to have abs, so bro, sure, or you do it the way that I'm telling you to. You're gonna have abs, you're gonna perform better, you're not gonna see your numbers in the gym decrease because you've been on a restricted diet for the last 12 weeks. No, you're gonna feel like $1,000,000 every day. Hi, Victor, buddy. So question here is, what do you do for sleep issues on the fasting days while doing prolonged fasting, ADF? Okay, I talked about this on the last live training. This is a very common issue people have. you will have sleep issues during prolonged fasts, almost guaranteed. You know, if you're going for longer than, let's say, 24, 25, 26 hours of fasting, and you hit the sheets on 0 calories, yeah, your sleep is gonna be less restful, less restorative. You're gonna wake up multiple times perhaps that night. For me personally, it doesn't happen anymore. It doesn't happen anymore because I do give my body the right amount of energy when I eat and the right macronutrients. Protein, enough protein for my muscles to operate, and not just my muscles, bro, my metabolism to operate the way it needs to. So when I then initiate a prolonged fast, I decide to do a fasting Monday where I don't eat from Sunday dinner to Monday dinner, 48 hours of fasting. Bro, I sleep like, Sunday dinner to Tuesday dinner. So that Monday I will consume 0 calories. I will sleep like a baby Monday night. I will sleep like a baby because I always eat properly when I do eat. And when I then break the fast again, I resume proper eating habits, eating enough protein. That's it. That's pretty much it. So fasting on my body is much less stressful as opposed to somebody who's eating an inadequate diet, perhaps living an inadequate lifestyle. He's overworked, overtrained, overstressed, and then he's fasting on top of that. Yeah, probably not the best idea. Probably not the best idea. So you gotta check as many boxes as you can before initiating these fasts to see the results that I speak of. So what can you do? Make sure that your habitual diet is on point, that you're eating enough, you're not chronically starving yourself, so that when you do a longer fast, it's not that crazy hard for your body to do the fast. You know, it's not um, a life and death scenario for your body. You're just fasting, your body is, in ketosis, enters ketosis quickly, and you're just smooth sailing. Bro, the best the best I ever feel is during a prolonged fast. I love OMAD for all the reasons I mentioned here, but I feel so calm, so collected. I feel so happy on that second day of no eating, talking 36 hours into the fast, 40 hours into the fast. I get euphoric. I get high. Now that it doesn't last all day usually. It's like you have these ups and downs and then you enter some phases where you're more irritable, but I'm telling you, I'm so content. I'm so grateful during those prolonged fasts. That's why I do them. Also, it bulletproofs the mind like nothing else. Because if you can say no to food, which is very difficult, everything else in life, every other challenge in life becomes much more manageable, much easier to tackle. Fasting will teach you that. If you are able to go through these prolonged periods with no food, saying no to one of life's greatest pleasures, you will be rewarded with a bulletproof mind, and you will understand that, you know what? You know what? All these fears that I have, will I be able to pay this, pay that, do this, do that with my business, do this with my family, with my life? All these existential fears and questions that you have will be muted, will be all but background noise. And you will realize, perhaps for the first time in your life, how good your life is. If I have food on my plate whenever I choose to, I am blessed. If I have some clothes on my back and I don't have to wear the same set of clothes every single day, I'm blessed. If I have a roof over my head, a pillow where I can lay my head down every night, I'm blessed. If I have people in my life that love me, my parents are still around. If I have a beautiful girl, a beautiful wife, I'm blessed. You can only see these blessings in a fasted state in my opinion. That's my experience. That's why I like to do it. So fasting, sleep issues when fasting, eat properly when you're not fasting, perhaps dabble into some magnesium supplementation when you're doing the fasting. Advice on finding the right woman. My brother James, I love this. Um, find a woman who loves God. Find a woman who loves God more than she loves her family, more than she loves you. Then you're good. After 40 years on this planet, it took me. My wife is the first woman I ever loved. First woman I ever fell in love with. I met her when I was 37 years of age, 36 or 37. So I knew right then and there, this is the right woman. Why did I know? Well, I trust God. I trust God in everything that I do. He told me this is the right woman. But also, I saw my wife interact with people, with my neighbors here. I saw my wife interact with her family. That one was, that sealed the deal for me. When I saw my wife and how she treated her brothers, how she treated her parents, what respect she brought into her home every time. She didn't argue. She didn't bitch and moan. She was a godly woman around her people. I love that. And that is so rare in today's day and age. It's much more common in, countries like Ecuador or Latin America in general, where family values are still honored. Much more likely to find that here. But it's, either way, it's so rare to find. So rare to find. So when I saw my wife with her parents, I was like, wow, that's a great woman. Keep in mind, this was before we even dated. This was before I even developed any like romantic ideas or romantic interests, I guess you could say. So I said a woman of God, and I stand by that, because marriage only has any value if it's two people who if it's two people with the same set of values. And I'm not talking about worldly values, brothers and sisters. If those values are not from the Bible, if those values are not from the mouth of God, they're not, they're meaningless. They're meaningless. So my wife and I, we share the same values. We have the same understanding of the world, which makes it infinitely easier. Even though we have massive cultural differences. I'm a white boy from Romania, from Europe. She's a black chick from Latin America. So it was only God that could unite us. Culturally, we were not compatible, but our value system was very compatible. So that's number one. And number two, and this is perhaps, James, for you, more in line with what you wanted to hear. Get yourself in check first before you look for a woman. Be a man worthy of being with. Get your business in order. Make some money. Get your body in check. Get in great shape where women are naturally attracted to you. You don't have to go chase women. And then stop all that nonsense, brother, of looking for women in places where you're only gonna find trouble. Tinder, whatever, dating apps, bars. What do you expect to find there? A woman, a quality woman? Do you know where I found my woman? At an after-school program, at our foundation. She came here to volunteer. So I already knew, okay, she's not busted up mentally. She's got something's going for her mentally. I already knew that right out the gate, because I didn't swipe right on her on Tinder, or I didn't find her in a bar somewhere. So Get yourself in check. Become a man worthy of being with in the first place. And then I promise you that right woman will enter your life at some point. Maybe not right out the gate. Maybe it will take more time for you. You see, for me, and I'll move to the next topic right away. For me, it was I came out of a relationship in 2021. I broke up with my then girlfriend because I knew I wouldn't want to pursue marriage with this woman. And me as a man of God, I'm not dating just, to F around. I'm dating strictly to find a woman and settle down with, make babies with, create a life worth living with. That's the only reason a man should date in my mind after 40 years of living. That's the only reason anyone should date. It's not to get your dick wet. That's a waste of time. So I came out of a relationship in 2021 and I was good. My business was running very well. 2021 was a great year for me in business. And I was doing fine by all standards. I was in the best shape of my life. I was doing so good. I was so happy, so content with life that the last thing I needed was another relationship. The last thing I needed was another woman. But God's plan, brother. God's plan, not my plan. So God decided to insert this woman into my life in 2021. It was like 3-4 months after I broke up with my ex-girlfriend, this new woman entered my life. But I didn't pursue, like I told you, any romantic interest with her for the first 5 months, 6 months of knowing her, which is another tip. Another tip. Get to know this woman. You're asking me about finding a good woman. Know this woman before you even pursue any romantic or sexual interests. Know this person inside out before you get serious with her. I knew my wife, my then, acquaintance, what's the word? My girl. I knew her enough to be able to take that next step comfortably, you know? I knew my woman enough after those 5-6 months of just working together here at the foundation to know this was a woman worth pursuing. This was a relationship worth pursuing. Now, guess what happened? I then entered this relationship with her, and within 2 months, I kid you not, within 2 months, I knew the grass will never be greener. Within 2 months of being with this woman, and I gotta laugh at all you clowns out there. No disrespect, obviously. Clowns who are in relationships for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, 10 years, you're in a relationship and you're not getting married. You're afraid to settle down. Pathetic. Pathetic. Within 2 months, I knew the grass will never be greener. So I got the green light from above. And I said, okay, I will make arrangements to marry this girl. Now, keep in mind, I didn't propose after 2 months. No. It was like 6 months into our relationship, I proposed, or like 8 months into our relationship. I went down on my knee like a true gentleman, and I asked her to be my wife. At that point, I already knew I had confirmation from God, this is the woman for you. So I pursued this relationship. And it's been the best time of my life. Brothers and sisters watching, if you know inside your heart that this is the woman for you, this is the man for you, don't wait for another 5 years. You're never gonna have more certainty, more clarity. Pull the trigger. Find the right person, find the right woman, the right man to settle down with. And don't be a weasel. Don't be afraid. Don't be indecisive. I cannot stand a man who's indecisive, who's like, I'm not sure this is the right way to do it. I have clients in my program who I'm giving certain guidelines, certain strategies that I know for a fact work across the board. I'm giving them those strategies, those tools with their interests in mind, not with my own. I already got paid. I want them to win. I want them to succeed across the board on all levels. So I'm giving them these instructions and I say, run with it. Use them starting right now. Some of them are hesitant still. They've paid me. They've committed to this. They're hesitant still because they've not grown a set of balls yet. And one of the main symptoms of not having any balls is to be indecisive. Bro, pull the trigger. If you know this is the woman for you, pull the trigger. That's what I did. It's been the best 2.5 years of my life of being married with her. It's been the last 4 years of being together with her. Why? Because she's the right one for me. And like I told you earlier, it's the first woman I ever loved. So I knew if it's not this one, it's not going to be any woman. I'm going to be a bachelor for the rest of my days. And believe me, coming back to your question, James, I would have been fine being a bachelor for the rest of my days. I would have been fine being single for the rest of my days because I made good money, I looked freaking amazing, and I loved my life without anybody in it. That's when you're ready to enter a relationship. That's when the women will come to you naturally, automatically, without you having to desperately seek them in a bar, on a dating app, or some other place where you will never find a quality woman. How important are carbs for performance, brother? Very important. Very important. That's why I never recommend a low carb diet done chronically. I never recommend keto to anyone. I never recommend a carnivore diet or just a low carb diet long term. There's merit. There are benefits to going low carb for short periods. Specifically, if you're trying to address some metabolic issues, you can do that successfully for brief periods. But you want to teach your body how to use carbs efficiently, how to become insulin sensitive again, use carbohydrates, use fats efficiently again. You're never going to do that on a low carb diet. It's like thinking that you can get great pecs without ever training your chest. It's like thinking you're going to get superhuman strong, but all you're doing is you're working your calf muscles, or you're only going for a jog in the neighborhood. How are you going to get strong if you never train for that specifically? It's the same with carbohydrates for performance, carbohydrates in general. How are you going to improve metabolic function, insulin sensitivity, if you never teach your body how to use carbohydrates and fats properly? So yes, very important, but most people just eat way more than they need. Most people do not need nearly as many carbohydrates as they think they do. So again, another question about supplements to support sleep during extended fasting. I'm not a fan of supplements. If anything, you can experiment with magnesium. There are other supplements to induce sleep, like melatonin and stuff like that. I don't recommend any of that. Get some magnesium. Even that magnesium doesn't have to be a high dose. Get some magnesium, maybe even some electrolytes before you hit the sheets. Sodium and magnesium will help initiate sleep and help get you through that night of sleep better. But if your routine is off, if your habitual diet that you go back to when you're not fasting is off, even though magnesium is not going to make a big difference. So somebody says, I run marathons 10 miles a day and do strength training. Should I keep my OMAD lifestyle? And brother, if you're burning thousands and thousands of calories, you should open up that feeding window. But it can still be late in the day. So for instance, I would still keep those carbohydrates in the form of fruit. I would still keep those during the day and maybe have a little bit extra fruit to have you performing and recovering properly between those workouts. But Big meals, proper meals, I would still keep those to late afternoon or dinner time when you're done with the physical and the mental exertion. When you're done with cognitive and physical work, that's when you should eat big, relax, unwind, and be merry. If you're gonna eat more frequently throughout the days, you're always gonna have that um, period, whether it be 2 hours or 3 hours, you're gonna have that recovery period where you're not gonna be your sharpest, you're not gonna be your strongest, you're not gonna be your best, because the blood that's supposed to be in your brain and in your muscles is diverted to your digestive system. So you can still do that. You can still do that. I speak from experience because many months and years of doing the OMAD lifestyle, I've burned in excess of 3,500 up to 4,000 calories a day. So I was eating 4,000 calories, 4,500 calories a day, and was just maintaining my weight, not gaining an ounce of fat or an ounce of body weight. So I know this can work with a crazy output, but then the input has to be crazy as well. And yes, it can happen within a compressed time window, but then it wouldn't be just OMAD. It would be maybe a 4 hour time period, maybe a 6 hour time period, So basically you're fasting or under eating. In our case, it's not a strict water fast. You would under eat on some fruit for 18 hours and then refuel for those 6 hours. That could work very well as well. So I have not found a scenario where people need to eat more than 2 meals a day. Certainly, bro, not even more than 1 meal a day. It can be done if you have a big appetite like I do, and if you know what your body needs to recover and perform the following day at a high level. OMAD is gold. OMAD is the ultimate. It is the ultimate. So for some people, yes, 2 meals a day because they can't get enough in that 4 hour or 3 hour eating window at the end of the day. But for most people, for people who are not burning in excess of 3,500, 4,000 calories a day, it can be done with a 2 hour feeding window at the end of the day, and it's much more enjoyable, believe me. Do I recommend OMAD for women as well? Yes. I've had many women in my program that have done this successfully, but they've eaten enough. They've not eaten bird shit sized meals at the end of the day. They ate enough calories and they got enough protein in every single day. James, I appreciate you. So I love your advice. He says, you're a good man and you're going to be a great father. Happy I found your channel. I'm happy to have you, brother. Thank you. This means a lot to me. Yeah, we'll see about being a father, but you got to be a man first before you can be a father, you got to be a good man first before you can be a good husband, before you can be a good father. So yeah, how do you become a good man? Bro, I hate to be a preacher here, but you follow God. That's the only way to be a good man. You follow God. Chronicle says ADF and fasting is single-handedly the best approach to cutting fat, yeah, and hitting a high mental standpoint. I agree. Changes you as a man, 100%. And my God, he says he's lost 50 kilos on that. Bro, that's like 120 pounds. Crazy. Thank you for sharing. This is crazy, my brother. Amazing. Exactly, that's 110 pounds. That's crazy. Yeah. Good job. Okay, James says, brother James is back. He says, I've been with my girl for 4 years, but I'm 20. Marriage seems like a huge step. Bro, congrats on being with your girl for 4 years at such a young age. I mean, I don't have all the answers. I do not have all the answers. It took me 35 years on this planet to know what I wanted to do, who I wanted to be on this planet, what I wanted to do with my God-given potential and opportunities. It took me 35 years. That's when I was ready for marriage. So I said, I I said I look down upon, I frown upon men who are in these long ass relationships without even considering settling down, without even considering making that woman, their woman, an honest woman. So, you know, I speak from a Christian standpoint, brother. I speak from a godly standpoint. It's not because, again, it's not because I have all the answers or because I'm so much wiser than you are. Um, it's because I've lived both lives, brother. I've lived as a godless man for 36 years on this planet, and I've lived as a godly man for the last 5 years. And I'm telling you, this is infinitely better. This works better across the board. Just like OMAD. I'm telling you, this works better to get your ducklings in order, to get yourself straightened out, to get your relationships in check, to get your business in check. God's values, God's rules, God's commandments and statutes work infinitely better than anything you've been taught that is outside of God's wisdom. Any worldly wisdom pales in comparison, is a joke in comparison to godly wisdom, to wisdom from the Bible. So I would say, I would still say the same thing, my brother James. Straighten yourself out first. Make yourself into the man who can handle the responsibilities of being a husband, of being a father. Make yourself into that man before you commit to marriage. Because the man is the leader of the household. Man is the leader of the relationship and is the leader and head of his wife. So you have to be a man. You have to be a man to be able to carry those responses faithfully, properly, and to be able to be the person that your wife or your girl deserves. And for that, you have to be a protector. You have to be a provider. You have to be faithful. You have to be able to control your dick. Before I met my wife, even bro, before I got married, I didn't have sex for like 3 or 4 years. 3, maybe 4 years before I got married with my wife. Bro, I live in Latin America. The women here are beautiful. I have the testosterone levels of a baby Tyrannosaurus. So, believe me, it was challenging. It was very difficult, but I knew what I wanted as a man. I didn't want to live for myself anymore. I wanted to serve God. I wanted to serve my people. And I knew I could never do that continuing with my promiscuous lifestyle. Having sex with any chick that I found attractive. So I cut that out of my life when I decided I would commit to Jesus Christ. I would commit to the Bible. I would commit to God. I said, I'm not gonna pussyfoot this, quite literally. I'm not gonna be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Oh Lord, I will be faithful to you in these aspects, but in this part of my life, I won't. I can't be. I still gotta be whoring around, Lord. I still gotta have sex with all these random women because look how beautiful they are. You made them this beautiful, Lord, so you can't blame me. These were the conversations I had when I first came to Christ in 2020, early 2020. So, again, I know that I decided then and there when I realized, number one, that the Word of God is the truth. When I was reading my Bible, and every morning I was reading my Bible, and one morning it just clicked, brother. And I realized this is not man-made. Nobody can come up with this stuff. Nobody can come up with this stuff. This is supernatural. The Bible is supernatural. So I realized for myself then and there, this is not written by man. It was written by man, but inspired by God. So it was like God was writing those words himself. I realized that for myself. Not trying to convince anyone here. I realized that for myself when I read the Bible in 2020. I knew this was supernatural. So I didn't argue with the concepts in the Bible anymore. And then a short time later, not only did I realize it was supernatural, I realized it was the ultimate truth. You know how people on college campuses in the US like to talk about, no, my truth, this is my truth. My truth is, I'm actually not a man, I'm a woman. I'm actually not this, I'm that. I'm actually a cat. I'm actually a cat. You can pet me. You know, this is my truth. And in my truth, bro, mental health disaster. Mental I don't want to use profanity here, but it's crazy times that we're living in. But in 2020 when I read the Bible, I understood there's one truth. There's one truth, and that's the Bible. There's one way to God, and that's through Jesus Christ. That's what I understood for myself. So again, if I come off as a preacher here, forgive me. It's just something that has helped me so much in my life that I would wish just one of you would pick this up and run with it. Would pick this up and employ it in their lives. It has helped me more than OMAD, more than fasting, more than training, more than any business classes than I took, more than my education, more than my master's diploma, infinitely more than my master's diploma, by the way. Finding Christ has helped me more than anything. And this channel of mine is not just about fasting, it's not just about eating protein, it's not just about doing things a certain way and you know, training a certain way. I want you to live this life at your highest capacity, at your highest potential. I know you're never going to get there without Christ. I know you're never going to get there apart from God. And you can accomplish a lot in this life. God in his mercy allows us to accomplish a lot in this life, financially, physically, relationally, socially, across the board without him. He allows us to go very far without him. But you will never accomplish your purpose apart from him. So you can be the next Bill Gates, the next Elon Musk. Without God, you will still not fulfill your purpose. I learned that for myself. And I'm here as a living testimony to that. And I know the people in the background right now are going crazy because they're waiting for me to get off this call so I can have a late lunch. Dinner here is like currently 5 p.m. here. And break the fast with him. And I will. But this is so important for me to convey. And I really want you to understand this and understand that when everything is said and done, God is the only thing that matters. And getting right with him is the only thing that matters. Yes, Muncher. Smoothie bowls are fine after cardio. Yes, it's not so much about micronutrients. It's not so much about micronutrients or macronutrients because you can get those micronutrients in later in the day during your feeding period. But it's very important for you. The carbohydrates will lower your stress hormones and will help you recover faster. Will keep you energized mentally, so you feel like going through your next workout, and you will have all the oomph in your muscles, in your system to perform at a high level, even on minimal calories. So yeah, a smoothie bowl or whatever, just some fruit, perfect. Yes, brother, that's what it's all about. So, my brother James, I will finish. I will finish with this. Obviously, it's difficult. It's difficult for me. The most difficult part about my relationship with my wife is being faithful. Is being faithful. Again, I'm in the prime of my life. I make a good living. I look halfway decent. I'm in halfway decent shape. It's very easy for me to find girls and to hook up. But I would never betray my wife like that, and I would never betray God like that. I would never break the rules like that. Even though, never say never. I am flesh and blood, and we know the flesh is weak. We know it's easy for us to get derailed and to break our own rules. It's easy. It can happen. But I know that if I want to live this life happily, successfully, fulfill my purpose, my calling in this life, I have to follow the Lord. I have to follow in his footsteps and follow his commandments and statutes. I cannot do it apart from him. I cannot find happiness. I cannot find fulfillment apart from him. That's why I would never betray him like that. All right, brothers. I'm out because I gotta go, and this has been long, and I'm done here. After almost an hour and a half of preaching, I'm done here. Do you have any advice for golfer's elbow? Yeah, fast. Fast, and do not do exercises that agitate your golfer's elbow. I say fast, and I'm dead serious, because fasting lowers inflammation unlike anything else. I speak from experience. I've had shoulder issues and elbow issues and wrist issues on and off for the last 6 years, because I'm training every day, training at very high intensity. So yeah, I run into those issues myself, but I'll tell you, ever since I'm doing OMAD and the prolonged fasting, the pain is almost non-existent. And I'm not doing the exercise that are causing elbow pain anymore. For me, it was weighted chin-ups. Weighted chin-ups would kill my elbows for some reason. But I'm doing weighted pull-ups, no problem. I'm doing weighted rows, no problem. I'm doing one-arm pull-ups, no problem. Big problem to do the weighted chins, or chins in general. That hand position my body can't deal with, or my joints can't deal with. So yeah, that's the advice I would give you. Bring inflammation down in the body, and do not pursue exercises. Do not do exercises that are causing pain. And I'm out. Brothers and sisters, have a great rest of your weekend. I'll be back soon.